So you want to paint blood paint, do you? Hey everyone, it's just going to be a quick video today. I'm feeling a little bit under the weather, so I apologize if I start hacking along halfway through this. But I'm just going to really quickly show you guys how I do a really quick and easy blood splatter or blood paint, and a couple super easy techniques to maybe help you guys do that really quickly if you're doing a whole bunch of models, or if it's something you maybe have never done before. And this is just a couple ways to make it go a little bit easier for you and maybe not make a big mess, because I think that's something that ends up happening with a lot of people when they start trying to do blood paint. They go a little too blood for the blood god, and paint goes flying everywhere and models get real red real quick. So we've got as our guinea pig here today, we've got a nice cleanly painted Kroot Narlock rider here, but this guy, he's been in a few games so far, and he's definitely killed a few people, so I think it's about time he got some blood paint on him. So the first thing we're going to start off with is the mount, and I mean, if it's not obvious, this guy is definitely a meat eater, so he's going to have some blood around his face, he's going to have some blood on his beak, maybe on his hands a little bit, and yeah, so I'm just going to show you how I apply that and how to do it pretty quickly and make it look decent. So the only tools you're going to need for this is just a pretty low quality, doesn't have to be anything too fancy brush, just, you know, middle size, not like fine detail, and this one you can see it's pretty rough, but that's going to be fine for what we're doing. And then a good quality, like this is like what you'd use for doing the dishes, sponge. Sometimes they'll have like a coating of some kind on it. It's super easy, just cut that off, take the sponge out. You can see I've already cut this into a shape, and what I usually end up doing actually is I'll like rip a corner off, because you only need a little tiny piece, right? So it's kind of awkward to sometimes use the whole thing, and I find using the hard edges, sometimes that can give you unwanted lines, like hard lines, and less of a splatter effect. So unless that's what you want with your blood paint, usually I'd recommend ripping the corner and then using the ripped edge, not using the hard lined edge. So we're just gonna go ahead and get started. Obviously you need your blood for the blood god paint. As you can see, mine has definitely seen some use. The World Eater's Army, you end up going through a lot of this stuff, so give it a little shake, pop it open. And the thing is, it's often a case of less is more. And like I said, I know some people like to just go crazy with blood for the blood god paint. It's a very exciting paint. Everybody loves that blood paint, but you can always add more, but you can't take it away, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and rip corner off this. That's actually probably more than enough. Sometimes when I'm holding it, I'll kind of pinch it or fold it in my fingers just to give me a smaller surface area, because as you can see, like, it's a pretty small spot we're going to be doing here, so we probably don't need that much. And in fact, I think just because I'm trying to be real fancy and do a video about it, I'm going to rip it again and have an even smaller piece. So we've got our little bit of paint there. We're going to dab it in. We're going to get a nice corner of paint, and then I'm actually even going to dab a little bit off, and it's kind of like a test dab, just to see how much we're getting. And you want kind of like that, like almost like as if you were dry brushing. You don't want big blobs of it unless you're just doing something where you're just going crazy with it. You want to kind of build up that paint over time, and then you use the brush to do the more fine detailed and bigger splotches, if that's what you're doing. So we're just going to very slowly, you're going to want to hit the, if it's something like a beak or a sword or whatever, you're going to want to start on the edges and just hit the edges and do like I'm doing here. You're just doing like quick dabs, and now you can already see that looking pretty good. And this is where it's just like personal preference. Like, do you want it to look like this guy? Sorry. I don't know if I'm going to leave that in or if I'll try to edit that out, but it wasn't lying that I'm hacking along here. Like, do you want it to look like this guy ate somebody an hour ago or he ate somebody 4 seconds ago? So I usually kind of go with the in-between route. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a little bit more paint out because I'd like just a little bit more of the splatter. And then I'm also going to hit, I think, the end of the Crute rifle there. Maybe this guy friggin' speared somebody on his way in. So same thing, I'm just going to hit the edge of that blade there. If you just chop someone, if we can zoom in a little bit there. That's how we're looking so far. So we're going to get a little bit more paint out, and this is where we're going to actually start using the brush. So we've got a really nice splatter going on, but what I like to do is just take the very edge of the brush and get a nice drip going down in a couple areas where you can tell the blood would run down naturally, like in the grooves of his beak. And if it was like an axe or a sword that had a notch in it, that's where that would be happening too. And again, like you could have just left it at the splatter. You don't necessarily have to add this extra bit, but I usually like to. And that's pretty much it to get a pretty convincing blood paint right there. The only thing I'm going to add, and again, this is go as simple or as complicated as you want. I've got lined up here something that can bring it to the next level, depending what you're doing, is your wash paints. Anything from Nuln Oil, which everybody uses, to things a little bit more wild, like this is Druchii Violet. Got some red paint on it, but it's the purple wash. And then our brown ones, like Seraphim Sepia, and this one's a little bit more red, Reikland Flesh Shade. And that's just like, depending what kind of a weapon you've done, or what kind of depending what you're doing it on, if you want to get those different layers and those different tones of blood, like maybe it's old dried blood versus new fresh blood, you can work that into the recesses or on the edges or whatever. And sometimes I'll do that, like say maybe just to differentiate a little bit. Maybe I'll put some of the Reikland Flesh Shade or some of the Seraphim Sepia, and I'll do that on the blade to make it. What it'll do is it'll give it that more like dried brown blood kind of look, and it's like old. And just to kind of switch it up a little bit, but it's totally up to you. Like I said, go as simple or as complicated as you want. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like you said, it literally took what, 30 seconds? Took longer because I was explaining it, but if you got a whole army of crazy berserkers or Tyranids that you think were eating ultramarines or something, you can easily do the whole army in a night, do the blood splatters. And it's the same thing whether you're doing it on rocks, swords, beaks, mouths, whatever, claws. You do it all the same way. So yeah, that's all for that. I will just quickly mention, it's the end of the video, I know this is the YouTuber thing to do. We do have a channel Patreon now. If you want to support the channel, that's the place to be. Any money from that just goes towards between better equipment and more models for kit bashes and paints and things like that. Sorry, Jesus, this is gonna be either a lot of editing out my coughing, or it's gonna be a rough video. But yeah, sorry, no. I'm gonna pretend I live in America, and the extra money for Patreon goes to my medical bills because clearly I need it. But yeah, so that's the place to be. If you want to send in your models to be featured at the end of the videos in the Kit Bash showcases of subscribers and viewers, send that over to my Instagram. It's just same name as on the channel, at Average Joe Crude Guy, or Crude, what did I change it? Crude Dude. I had to change it to, just to make sure I didn't get GW after me. But yeah, as always, thanks for watching, and stay till the end. We do have a couple Kit Bash models to show today. I didn't put the word out on Instagram because I knew I knew filming this video was going to be rough, so I didn't want to have to talk any longer than I had to. So thanks for watching. Bye.